In the past year, we've had the opportunity to review quite a few different 5.1 surround sound setups, one of which was the RSL CG3 and CG25 5.1 system with a Subwoofer 10S. This was a great little budget system coming in at around $1,100 that we thoroughly enjoyed listening to. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at this system's bigger brother, the RSL CG5 5.1 surround sound system, and see if it's really worth the upgrade. With bigger drivers, bigger boxes, and a bigger price tag, we can't wait to see just how it stacks up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then stick around and we'll get into it right after the intro. Alright, so as I mentioned, a few months ago we reviewed the RSL CG23 5.1 system and the RSL Subwoofer 10S subwoofer. And if you want to check out those videos, we'll leave links in the description as well as cards at the end of this video. And just to recap, the RSL CG3 and CG23 speakers sounded great for the price. And for a home theater setup in a small to medium-sized room, they're really a good choice. RSL managed to make a set of speakers that really sound bigger than they are, all while holding on to some of the best aspects of using smaller drivers, like a faster and more articulate mid-range. Well, the CG3 and CG23 speakers are just the beginning, and RSL CG5 and CG25 lines promise to offer the same level of transparency and quality while delivering an even bigger, more three-dimensional sound. But before we get too far into the sound quality of this system, let's take a look at what you get with an RSL surround sound speaker system. Obviously, the most important component here is the RSL CG25 bookshelf speaker itself. And in the system we have, these are used as the main left, center, and right channels. And of course, similar to the CG3 line of speakers, the CG5 line is built using RSL's compression guide cabinet design. This essentially guides the back waves of the drivers through a series of chambers in a way that reduces cabinet resonance while increasing low-end frequency response and detail. Also, the front ported cabinets allow the speakers to be placed closer to the walls without negatively affecting the bass output. Looking at the drivers themselves, the CG25 has a pair of 5¼ aramid fiber woofers with cast aluminum frames and a pretty unique translucent 1-inch silk dome tweeter. These speakers have a rated frequency response from 51 Hz to 35 kHz within 3 dB, and the sensitivity for these speakers is actually pretty good at 88 dB. And RSL recommends setting your amplifier for 6 or 8 ohm speakers. And you'll want to make sure that the amplifier can deliver anything between 25 and 150 watts of RMS power to properly drive the CG25 speakers. RSL uses some of the best parts possible, considering the price, to build their crossovers, like air core inductors, polypropylene capacitors, and even some very nice gold-plated 5-way binding posts. The same quality and attention to detail were also used to build the smaller CG5 speakers, which are basically the same, but with only a single 5¼ woofer. This does bring our frequency response up to 54 Hz in the low end, which is still pretty good for a single woofer. Another small difference between these speakers is that the CG5 comes equipped with a really convenient treble adjustment dial on the back that allows you to adjust the tweeter levels to match your room and personal preference. This is really helpful if, for example, you don't have any acoustic treatment in your room and you feel the need to reduce the treble a bit. You can set it to low. Or if you want to hear the maximum amount of detail that these speakers offer, you can also raise it to high. And of course, if you want to hear the most neutral sound possible from the CG5s, just set the dial to reference. One thing that we really appreciate about every single RSL speaker that we've reviewed is the very high quality and great looking hand-painted gloss finish, which RSL claims is also fingerprint resistant. And for the most part, I think they kind of are, but they'll still show some fingerprints. Now, they are a little better at hiding smudges than something like my SVS SP3000s are, but if you're really worried about fingerprints, I would suggest getting the white versions like we have here, because the white color just does a lot better job at hiding fingerprints compared to the black. To protect the drivers, RSL has included some very nice, heavy-duty, acoustically transparent metal magnetic grills. And as much as I like the looks of these speakers with the grills off, I think they look equally as good with them on. To cover the low frequencies in this system, RSL sent us their awesome Subwoofer 10S subwoofer, which we've already done a complete review on, and if you want to check that out, we'll leave links down in the description below. But just to give you a quick summary of the Subwoofer 10S, it's got a 10-inch aluminum cone driver mounted inside RSL's compression guide cabinet, and that's being driven by a pretty impressive 350-watt RMS amplifier with built-in wireless connectivity. And now that we've gone over each individual speaker, we want to talk about all the different ways that you can configure a CG5 and CG25 system from RSL. The system we're reviewing here today is the CG25 5.1 with 3 CG25 speakers, a pair of CG5 speakers, and 1 Subwoofer 10S. All of this will end up costing you about $2,400, and as you can see here, RSL's pretty much got you covered for any kind of system you could want to put together. Now, as usual, we started our testing in our dedicated acoustically treated home theater room, and we powered all of the RSL speakers with separate Emotiva UPA-1 model blocks for the front LCR channels, and we powered the surrounds with 2 channels from our Emotiva XPA5 Gen 2 multi-channel amp. These amps supplied all of the speakers with up to 200 watts of RMS power per channel, and now obviously we didn't have to use all of that, but it's always nice to have the extra headroom when you're watching movies. Starting with one of our new favorite demo movies, Love and Monsters, which we feel has an amazing soundtrack, the RSL speakers performed very well, separating every distinct sound in each scene. The levels of depth and detail in these speakers were very good, and one thing we noticed with the CG25s in particular was that there seemed to be a slight bump in the lower mid-range, which gave them a very pronounced and forward sound. But this could probably be sorted out with some kind of subtle EQ. Because of this forward mid-range sound though, we decided to try swapping out the CG25 speakers on the front left and right channels with a pair of CG5s, and we actually preferred the way they sounded. After getting the speakers adjusted to our liking, we continued our test with several other movies, and through each one, we were met with sound that seemed to be very dynamic and impactful. And even during scenes with intense gunfire and other surround sound effects, the CG5 system always felt in control and never sounded confusing or congested. After we finished up testing these speakers in our dedicated home theater room, we decided to bring them down into our open concept living room, which doesn't have any acoustical treatment, so of course they didn't sound as good, but that wasn't the fault of the speakers themselves, and after some EQ they did sound better. And thanks to the great performance of the Subwoofer 10S, the bass was always tight and blended perfectly with all of the other speakers, no matter what space we tested the system in. And as we mentioned in our previous videos on this subwoofer, at $400, you're going to be hard-pressed to find anything better than this sub. Now, unfortunately, the Subwoofer 10S is still on back order for a few months, but if you buy one of RSL's surround sound systems, like the CG25 package that we reviewed today, your Subwoofer will be shipped with the rest of the order, so you don't have to wait. So, all in all, you really should consider the RSL CG25 5.1 surround sound system if you're wanting to get into a very well-built, great-looking set of speakers for under $2,500. And the great thing about buying from RSL is their generous 30-day in-home trial period, so you can test out the speakers for yourself, and if you don't think the system is right for you, you can return it and get a full refund. And with all of that said, I think it's time to wrap up this video. Make sure to take a look at the CG25 5.1 system on RSL's website, and we'll be sure to leave a link in the description so you can go check that out. If you want to chat about home theater, technology, or any other topics with us or other members of the community, then don't forget to join our TwoGuyzTech Discord chat. Again, the link is in the description. Please let us know if you have any other questions or comments on the RSL CG5 and CG25 5.1 surround sound system down in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you thought this video was helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future content. And as always, have an awesome day.